I can't preach about this enough, especially both me and Ryan. This is so important. But if you don't know how to structure your week, structure your day,
what is the most important thing to focus on at each point of the day?
For you to also consider, guys, is that just be honest. Welcome back, guys, to another video. In this video, we want to talk about something that might not sound and seem super exciting, but it's so important. On one hand, it's very important to know the tactics and strategies and tips, but if you don't know how to structure your week, structure your day, you're not going to get anything done, right? And this is, I think, worthy of a video at least. And so Ryan and I are happy to take a couple minutes here and kind of share with you our thoughts. Ryan, anything from your kind of vantage point before we begin?
Yeah, this is a super important one. And it's a question we get a lot too, is how do I structure my day? What do I need to focus on? And so it's really one thing that can be easy to overcomplicate and try to put too much time and energy into. So we just want to simplify it for you all, figure out what is the most important thing to focus on at each point of the day, and how can we just make you as effective of a recruiter as possible.
Absolutely. And if you're new here, guys, welcome. Ryan and I, we are both professional recruiters scaling our agency. Ryan's also the master coach to our educational consulting brand, where we actually help folks like yourself level up as a recruiter, or if you're looking to start a side hustle or an agency, we help you and we teach you exactly what to do. So very grateful for Ryan to be here, but we're happy to also share with you something that kind of means a lot to both of us. So let's get started. Number one, it's really important to schedule. And if you don't, there are certain reasons that you should kind of think about as to kind of showing you the importance of scheduling. So number one, if you don't block time for prospecting, you have an inconsistent pipeline. And what we mean by that is, like, if you're doing this part-time or full-time, recruitment business is very simple. You need to find clients, you need to find candidates. But for you to actually find clients or candidates really well, you got to be able to at least have a good block of time in the day where you're completely uninterrupted. You got to be focused, and you can't be like starting something for 5 minutes and then another 5 minutes later you switch and do something else, and then you get distracted 30 minutes later to, focus on the invoices or marketing or building your website. Like, you have to really be focused and most importantly be consistent. And the biggest way to lift that is to simply just time block or have a certain time of your day to just really dedicate on one activity, in this case prospecting. And if you're able to do that and you can do daily effort each day consistently, that will compound over the week and transform your inconsistent pipeline to more of a consistent pipeline and funnel where leads and candidates are coming in. Super important. The second, Ryan, what are your thoughts of this? No clear focus on high value tasks.
Confusing productivity with actually getting work done. Because if you just have...
Are you completely lost on how to implement AI or automation in your business? Are you struggling with getting responses from new clients? Are you an established recruiter who is struggling to level up or break 6 figures and beyond? Or do you have no idea how to even start a successful recruitment business at all, whether it's full-time or part-time? If any of these resonate with you, please check out the Recruiter School, a premier educational and coaching program that will teach you everything I've learned in the past decade that has helped me bill over $5 million on my own desk, where I had also the chance to work with the best companies in the world. You'll learn everything from what is the best ATS to how to master client acquisition, what are the best plugins and tools, what are the best platforms to find candidates on, how do you optimize your website and even LinkedIn profile, or how do you actually systematize your workflow with the best AI and automation. The best part, we will also personally handhold and be with you every step of the way through our one-on-one coaching, just to make sure you understand and implement everything perfectly. But don't just take my word for it. Since we launched, the number of success stories that we created have truly been jaw-dropping and amazing. Whether it's making 5 figures part-time, to picking up their first clients within the first couple days to a week, to now making $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 per month consistently, I could go on and on and on. So if you're interested to learn more, make sure you click on the link below to book a time. Since our schedule books up really fast, make sure you reach out quickly. See you on the other side.
Yes, this is one that I know I myself have been guilty of in the past, is confusing productivity with actually getting work done. Because if you just have, a vague idea of what you need to do today, it's really easy to focus on the tasks that are easier to complete, the ones that don't really push the needle in your business. And then when the end of the day comes, you're like, oh, well, all right, I'll push everything off until tomorrow. And so it's really important to think about when you're scheduling, what is the most important thing I can do today? What is actually going to push the ball forward, push my deals forward? And you got to prioritize that over everything else. You got to prioritize making the calls to clients and candidates over doing some LinkedIn posts. You got to prioritize, doing the business development activities over just figuring out, what's my new Zoom background for the day, right? You got to figure out what is the most high value task that you can complete in any given minute, in any given hour, in any given day. Focus on that so you don't just complete the easier tasks that aren't really making much impact on your business. I think one that I specifically wanted to highlight is kind of this 4th point here on LinkedIn. Again, I'm not going to be the first one to judge here. I've done this myself many times, is getting stuck in like a LinkedIn rabbit hole, right? And I'll think, okay, I want to get back to that one person on LinkedIn. So I'll open up the LinkedIn app with good intentions to send a message or reach out to a client or a candidate, but then a, article catches my eye or someone's new job post catches my eye, and then I just lose 10, 15 minutes off the bat. But if you have a set calendar and all right, today from 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock, I'm doing nothing but sourcing, it's easier to keep yourself on track. Remember, okay, what's the most high value activity right now? And let me focus on that. So at the end of the day, it's all about ensuring that when you close up your laptop, when you're done for work for that day, you not only feel like, okay, wow, I got a lot of work done, I was productive, but also the tasks that you were productive on were also high value. Not just feel exhausted without feeling accomplished. You want to get that accomplished feeling like I did everything I could to keep the ball rolling with my business today.
When it comes to working for yourself or really just like a high performing job, right? It's very easy just to feel busy and you're like, oh man, it was a good day. I did so many things. But then when you actually think about it, you actually accomplished nothing, right? And I think when it comes to working for yourself, that becomes even more dangerous because you don't have a boss, you don't have a manager telling you what to do. You have to create and manage your own time, and you can absolutely be your own enemy here. So when it comes to working for your boss, because you don't have anyone you're reporting to, you can do whatever you want willy-nilly. You can go left, right, up, down, go around in circles. And in recruitment specifically, there's nothing more important than either getting clients, getting candidates, and etching interviews. And if you find yourself straying away from one of these three activities, you are absolutely focused on what I consider more of a secondary activity that is still important, but not as important as getting clients, getting candidates, and making money, right? And so it's very easy to be like, oh man, I did a billion things today. And then, I did a little LinkedIn, a little website, but you made no money today. You've really got no clients, you got no candidates, your business is not really moving forward. And so on one hand, while it's great to be busy, I just want to make sure you guys are busy on the right stuff, right? We do want to feel exhausted, but we also want to feel exhausted at the end of a good day that's fulfilling. You put your best on the field, but you also felt like you pushed yourself, your business, and your agency, your desk forward. You got to be going in the right direction, not exhausted because you just did a bunch of stuff that you thought was important when actually you should have saved it for the evenings, the weekends, or the mornings, and you just easily got distracted and you spread yourself out too thin, right? So super, super important to have a North Star. Another great visual I like to use is imagine you're on a boat in the middle of the ocean, and back in the day, and it's still used today, but a lot of people look up to the stars to figure out what direction is what, right? So if you want to go north, you look at the sky and you can clearly have signals on which direction you're going to. You need to have a North Star, because if you don't, then you can just be paddling and rowing in the middle of the ocean, middle of the night or day. You don't know which direction you're going into. The waves will push you left, right, any direction possible, and you felt like you made a lot of progress when in fact you actually just made a huge circle and you didn't do anything productive, right? So it's very, very important to have your North Star really be your high value tasks so that every work that you expend that day is focused on getting a step closer and accomplishing that. And that way you can know that, oh wow, I put my all my effort onto the field here. I felt great. I'm exhausted, but in a good way. And now next day you're just one step closer.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And then Preston, this next slide too is pretty similar, but a couple more points I wanted to highlight. When it comes to scheduling, one of the biggest benefits of doing that scheduling is just having that structure, right? Having those guardrails that keep you on track at any given point of the day. And from what we've seen from our own agency, but also from our network of other recruiters, recruitment agency owners, the highest performers, so I'm talking the highest billers in the industry, they don't just wake up in the morning and say, well, I think I have to follow up with that one person and then I got to make that one call. No, they wake up and they see a broken down list of this is everything I need to accomplish today before I go to bed, right? This is a system that they follow to ensure that they don't, hang up the cleats until everything is completed and is in the right order. So with that, when it comes to thinking about how do I manage my day, there's so many different ways you can go about it. And a lot of the tips we'll share here are what we do for our agency, for our own schedule, and it's worked well for us. But if you find, you feel free to make some tweaks to this, right? Don't take this as gospel and you have to stick to it 100%. If you're more of a night owl, you like to work later in the evenings, or maybe you're a morning bird, like to work more in the mornings, like feel free to adjust this as you please. But one common theme that we've seen is that in the morning, right when you start, that's when energy tends to be highest and you're freshest, your mind is ready to go. And so we see that most high performers use that high energy time to focus on usually the largest driver of the business, which is business development and client acquisition. So, the first few hours after you wake up, that's when you should do your cold calls, your follow-ups, your client calls, because that's when you have to be your sharpest. And so getting that done when your energy levels are highest is going to be the most productive. And then kind of walking down to this third point here, what grows revenue, right? It's not making little LinkedIn posts. It's not going to be, checking in with somebody or taking a long lunch or, just doing something that is productive, but maybe not the most productive. It's going to be prospecting. It's going to be making cold calls. It's sending emails to potential clients, talking to candidates, doing negotiations. That is what's going to drive revenue for your business. So that's what you need to focus on, especially when the highest energy time is in the morning. All in all, it's it's just all about having that structure, whether your energy time's in the morning or it's in the evening, and to figure out when am I performing at my best and how do I match that for the time where I can do my most high value activities. Once you put those two together, you're going to be on a really strong track to ensure that at the end of the day, you're getting so much more done than almost every other recruiter out there.
Another really cool tip I want to share is one thing that you can do that can help with scheduling is plan the night before, right? So if you want to be a high performer, I kind of look at it as kind of a high performing athlete or just really anything equivalent where you're just high, you have to be on your A game every single day. Recruiting is no exception. We have to put our all every single day onto the field, and the lack of sleep or lack of focus or distractions are just going to detrimentally impact that, right? But going back to what I said, the easiest thing is you want to be completely on top of your time. I never wake up and be like, what am I going to do today? I'm going to figure it out, go with the flow. Every minute, every second is so valuable, especially the times that you're focused on actually working and building your business. So you want to make sure that whatever that you do is really actually purposeful and really pushing your business forward. And the easiest thing is at the end of each day, block off 30 minutes, 45 minutes, maybe an hour at the max to reflect on the day that just finished. Reflect on what did you do well? What were your wins? What were areas that you can improve? But more importantly, what is my go-to game plan tomorrow? Like what meetings do I have? What candidates am I going to be talking to? What clients? What am I doing? If I'm going to do outreach, is my list ready the night before, right? So if you're reaching out to clients in the morning, don't spend your morning kind of making the lists and doing all the activity. Spend an hour or two in the evenings, maybe after dinner, while you're eating dinner or something, so that by literally the next day, you can just hit the ground running, you can ramp up quickly and start sending out the emails instead of just wasting another hour or two when you could have used that the night before to do all like that admin and heavy lifting and mundane stuff, right? So it's all about like when you're online, when you're awake, focus everything on the stuff that actually matters. And to also help with that is planning, but don't use a lot of your precious workday on planning. Do it the night before, right before end of day, so you can have a good reflection, good recap, but also plan the next day. So when you have dinner, you go out or you go to sleep, you know exactly what to do instead of having to wake up and be all stressed and anxious, like, oh my God, what's going on? I have too many things to do, not enough things to do. Like plan it out so that your day continues smoothly after you wake up, after you shower up, have a breakfast, and just not waste a single second. So as Ryan went over, I absolutely agree. Like a lot of the people I know, and this doesn't just apply to recruiting, this high performers in general, whether it's sales or business or anything that you do, we're very structured and we follow a very pragmatic system that makes sure that nothing kind of important is left unturned, and we know exactly what to execute with no surprises or blind spots.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so before we share with you kind of the calendars that we work with, just want to talk a little bit about schedule design and what goes into the thinking for how we schedule out our days. Again, quick caveat, don't just take this at face value. Feel free to make some edits as you see fit and meet your own schedule and timeline. But this is the general thinking that we do for our schedules. So as you can see in the morning, again, energy is high. That's when we're focusing on those high value tasks to bringing in revenue, doing outbound calls to potential clients, maybe some potential candidates, even following up with clients that we need to re-engage, and also doing that prospecting to find new business. As we get closer to lunchtime, middle of the day, that's when we flip the switch over to the candidate side. So we're either doing sourcing, doing candidate calls to, submit those candidates, maybe, managing some candidate interviews. And then towards the end of the day, that's when we're going to do some of that kind of cleanup day recap that Preston mentioned. Maybe do some admin work, some LinkedIn stuff, maybe some meetings that you got to kind of wrap some loose ends on. And that's kind of the general path that we follow. So start with the client outreach, switch over to the candidate side, and then finish up with just closing up loose ends. But you might also have a couple of tasks that you don't need to do every day. So maybe it's, shoot a YouTube video, for example, or maybe it's write a LinkedIn article, whatever the case may be. You can also build those into certain days in your calendar. So I know that every Monday morning from 10 to 11, that's YouTube video time, or every Thursday from 2 to 3 p.m., that's write a LinkedIn article time, right? So you can also be a little flexible between each day of the week to match all the tasks that you need to complete. Now, what I'd say on top of that as well is it's usually good practice to build in a little bit of buffer time so that one, you don't stress yourself out too much, but two, you also have time to put out any fires that come throughout the day. If you've been recruiting long enough, you know that naturally sometimes something is going to come up, whether it's an urgent client issue or a candidate issue or an offer negotiation that you need to address right then and there. And you don't have the luxury of waiting till your 4 to 5 admin block at the end of the day to get it done, right? And so if you're able to build in maybe a 15-minute buffer between all your blocks, that gives you the ability to manage those fires as they come up. But also then, if you run a little over one block, that doesn't just push your whole entire day back. So having a little breathing room within the blocks is going to help you just stick to that calendar even better. Now, for the last 2 points, I wanted to first talk about protected deep work blocks. This is something that is super important and something that I try to implement even to this day in my schedule. It's just blocking off some time, it could be as small as 30 minutes a day up to multiple hours a day, just to get stuff done. on. No calls, no distractions, no meetings. This is just focus time where you lock in, turn off all the distractions, just focus on XYZ task at hand. This is something that can be really easy to lose sight of when you're like, oh, I got to call 10 candidates today and follow up with 3 clients and I have this one meeting, and it's really easy to lose that time. But if you protect that time, you're just going to help your productivity just skyrocket from there. Lastly, wanted to close out at this point. I know Preston mentioned this a little bit earlier, but it's nice to finish out your day just to wrap up any loose ends, maybe clean out your email inbox and also take a look at the day ahead. What's priorities for tomorrow? Maybe write up a quick to-do list just so that when you walk into the office or open up your laptop that next day, you don't have to waste any time figuring out what the game plan is. You can get right into executing. So these are just a couple of the tips that we use when figuring out how do we best allocate our precious time in the day to make sure we can get the most out of our days.
The important thing here is just, I want to note one more time, don't just literally follow this and be rigid to it, right? This should just be more of like a general rule of thumb for you to kind of follow when it comes to scheduling your calendar. But things like, for example, if your mornings focus on clients and middays focus on candidates, these can also be dynamic too, as Brian touched on, right? If your priority is to reach out to more clients, then you can spend more time on that. And maybe you can eat into some of the midday time that you would have otherwise spent on candidates on clients. Or if you have too much business, then you shouldn't have to do that much client outreach. Maybe your morning block is smaller and you can use more of that time finding candidates. And obviously anything pressing, any high priority, you want to make no excuses and find a way to get to it, either if it's not first thing in the morning, as soon as you can in your day, so you can deal with it and address it live. But all of this, like principles wise, like this is definitely something that we still follow to this day. It's so important, guys, to be on top of your time and not take it for granted. Time is the one thing that's so valuable to all of us. And honestly, what separates the people doing well and people who are not doing as well, or people who are really struggling, is really as simple as just how are they using their time. And it could be really as simple as that. So while this video might seem pretty common sense, I really do hope that it can give you some sort of value and some sort of direction, because I can't preach about this enough, especially both me and Ryan. This is so important. You can be equipped with the best of everything, technology and strategies, but if you don't know how to take action, you don't know how to reflect on your day, you don't know how to do better the next day, you don't even know how to kind of recap and reflect, certainly it's going to be a longer path with a lot more friction for you as you move forward. So with that said, we just want to kind of complete with more of a visual, right? So we have 2 visuals here, one on the left, one on the right. And what do you see here, Ryan?
Yes, so these visuals are pretty similar, but one on the right is a little bit more just broken down, a little more nitty gritty. I can walk you through each of these here. So we have them both starting around 8:30, going to about 5. Again, feel free to edit this for your start and end times, whatever works with your schedule. But to start with the more simplified schedule on the left, the first few minutes can be just a general day prep. Now you might be asking, Ryan, you just told us, do your, type loose ends, plan for the next day, towards the end of the previous day. So you don't have to do it the next day, which is correct. But inevitably, you're going to open up your laptop in the morning and a few emails are going to have come in overnight. You're going to get a couple LinkedIn messages from clients or candidates. And so it's good to be able to just get a quick lay of the land, see who's reaching out, what's the status of your pipeline, just ensure that everything looks good. And then you can focus on those high value tasks like business development. So for this calendar, we have 8:30 to 9 as our just prep for the day. Make sure you're up to date with what's going on to all your pipelines. From 9 to noon, which you're going to be doing that client outreach, whether that's doing cold calls, whether LinkedIn messages, emails, videos, going in person, whatever the case may be for your business. It's great to get this done with in the morning because it's your highest value activity, and then, focus on other tasks. So from 9 to 12, client acquisition, take a lunch break, 12 to 1, and then 1 to 4:30 is going to be our candidate time. So whether it's sourcing, taking candidate calls, maybe even doing submissions, if you have anyone to submit at the end of the day, just getting that all completed by around 4:30. And then 4:30 to 5 is when you do that prep for the next day. So maybe you make your list for everyone you have to contact the next day, or a list of clients you have to re-engage, whatever the case may be. Now, the right calendar is a little bit more broken down. And again, you can break it down as high level or low level as your heart desires. But here, similarly, let's start at 8:30, do your 30-minute prep for the day. And then 9 to 9:30, you're going to be doing follow-ups. You got a couple of emails that came in, or maybe you have some sequences built out. You have to follow up with some old clients. That is your time to do that. And then 9:30 to 10, prospecting for new clients. Maybe you're making lists in Clay, or you're doing it manually on LinkedIn. You're building out a list of people you want to reach out to. And then you actually execute on that outreach from 10 to 12. So doing that business development, doing that outreach, the emails, calls, LinkedIn, whatever that may be. And then after lunch, similar thing, do some sourcing, do some candidate calls, and then do some submissions to close out that candidate time. That's how I always like to structure my days. Is I'll take all my calls, and then once I go through my calls, I'm saying, okay, before I wrap up, before I close up, I know I need to submit some folks. And so then I'll do my write-ups, I'll do my submissions, get that completed. And then similarly, towards the end of the day, just prep for the next day. So feel free to adjust this to your heart's desire, but this is the general guideline that we have found that's made us super successful in our agency.
The only thing that I ask for you to also consider, guys, is that just be honest with your time blocks, right? So if you're doing like client outreach from 10 to 12 and you're really really doing it from 10 to 11 and you're kind of slacking 11 to 12 and then you're taking a whole another hour lunch, you're kind of wasting 2 hours of the day, right? And so all I ask is like whatever time block that you're truly making the most of every single second, every single minute. The more honest and transparent you are with your calendar, the more you can kind of see areas of weakness or areas of improvement or opportunities for you to be able to like, oh, maybe I can kind of focus on this, or maybe I can kind of add something to my day, or maybe I can really focus on more on clients here. And even though I feel like I don't have enough time, I actually do have enough time because even though I block 2 hours, I'm not actually using the full 2 hours, right? So it's just honestly a great way to add more structure to the day so that you can kind of reflect a lot more effectively. I would say a level 3 to this is people who are really high performers break it down even more. So it's kind of like level 1 is to the left, level 2 is what you see to the right, level 3 in my calendar during my peak recruiting, everything was in 15-minute increments, right? Every single thing. And even between that, if I had to do something like source, I would still find ways to source in between each 15-minute call. So I would think like that's hyper performance, hyper optimized, moving super fast, and like knowing exactly how to just move forward on all aspects of your desk that day while sticking true to like more of a granular, smaller block. So I think like the better that you have a handle of your time, then the more that you can kind of play around with it and you can kind of be more comfortable doing things in smaller blocks. So maybe that's something that you can always strive to, aspire to. But if you guys are just getting into this for the first time, this is your first time getting eyes on this kind of stuff, or maybe you're just looking for more structure. Obviously the visuals here, left or right, is fantastic. And just make sure that it can kind of help you plan out your day more effective. And if that's the main takeaway for this video, then Ryan and I did our job to kind of give you guys an incremental lift. But if you guys can always take it a step further, we'd love to see what you guys do with like a level 3 or level 4 that works for you. So we're always happy to do our best to provide you value here. If you guys have other tips, other ways that you use your calendar that we haven't mentioned, please comment down below. We'd love to hear from you. We're always learners from other people. But yeah, Ryan, thank you so much for always being on and appreciate your time, guys. We'll see you on the next one.